Hey everybody, today we've got another political shift, this time in the U.S. House between 2012 and 2022. 2012 was when Obama won his second term. 2022, of course, was the most recent midterm election. That's a 10-year span, and if you want to just skip ahead to the map, there will be a chapter down below in the description. But if you want to hear more about this, let's put up some background about the two elections we're going to compare. 2012, the Republicans won 234 seats. They did not win the popular vote. They got 47.7% of it. The Democrats won 201 seats. They did win the popular vote with 48.8%. So we're going to compare those results to these 2022 results. Quick refresher there. Republicans won 222 seats. They won the popular vote this time with 50.6. Democrats got 213 seats and 47.8% of the popular vote. And the thing to keep in mind that we're comparing here, it's just the statewide popular vote for the U.S. House. And a couple things to mention are sometimes in certain states, certain districts have candidates that run unopposed, or there's a third-party candidate. Or in certain states, like in California, there might be two Democrats or two Republicans in the general election. And that certainly is going to skew the results on occasion. But there's not much I could do about that. We're just going to look at the statewide popular vote for each party. The only exception is if there is only one congressional district, I will still put up the opposite party in place of the Democrat or the Republican, just so there's some sort of results to compare to. So to make it easy, I just took this data from Wikipedia. Occasionally there's some discrepancies, but hopefully there's no glaring mistakes. Let's get into this. We've got the spreadsheet here. First, we've got the states. Next column, 2012 Democratic vote, followed by the 2012 Republican vote. Then we jump ahead 10 years to the 2022 Democratic vote, the 2022 Republican vote, the Democratic shifts between those two elections, followed by the Republican shifts, and the last column is the net change between the two parties between the two elections. And of course, I have the shading where the darkest colors are 10 or more point shifts, the lightest colors are under 5-point shifts, 3 levels of shading on the sheet. Let's get started in Alabama. In 2012, the Democrats in the statewide popular vote got 35.9%. The Republicans got 63.8%. 2022, the Democrats, they fell to 23.7%. Republicans bumped it up to 70.1%. Again, some districts were uncontested or have third parties, but this is the data that I have. That's a net loss of 12.2% for the Democrats, a net gain of 6.3% for the Republicans, and a total net shift of 18.5% away from the Democrats and toward the Republicans. So that's how this works. Let's speed through the rest of these states. Next is Alaska. That had the biggest shift out of all the states, and it shifted massive toward the Democrats by 45.3%. Remember, they've since implemented ranked choice voting. Next, Arizona. That had a 5-point shift toward the Republicans. Arkansas, 4.4% toward the Republicans. California went toward the Democrats by 3.6%. Colorado, double digits toward the left by 15.3%. Connecticut went double digits in the opposite direction by 15.9%. Same with Delaware by 18.5%, and in Florida by 12.8%. Georgia has since shifted toward the left by 13.8%. Hawaii, there were some inconsistencies with their numbers, but they had very little change there, only 0.3% toward the Democrats. Idaho got 5.5% redder. Illinois got 3.9% redder. Indiana got even redder with 12.9%. Iowa got even redder than that by 15.4%. Kansas, on the other hand, had a major shift toward the Democrats by 37.2%. Kentucky back toward the right by 11.8%. Louisiana had a bit of a blue shift by 5.8%. Maine went toward the GOP by 7.3%. Maryland, very little change, 0.4% toward the Democrats. Massachusetts, 3.1% toward the Democrats. Michigan also 3.1%, but toward the Republicans. Minnesota had a nice red shift by 10.5%. Mississippi, smaller red shift by 4.8%. Missouri, 7.9% toward the GOP, as well as in Montana by 8.1%. Nebraska, 1% toward the Democrats. Nevada, 3.1% toward the Republicans. New Hampshire got 5.6% bluer. New Jersey got 1.3% redder. Take a look at New Mexico, voting in line almost exactly to where they were 10 years earlier, only 0.1% toward the Republicans. New York had a significant red shift of 14.8%. North Carolina, a red shift as well, but by a smaller 6.1%. North Dakota back over double digits toward the GOP by 11.4%. Ohio, 8.7% toward the Republicans. Oklahoma, 1.7% toward the GOP. Oregon also got redder by 6.9%. So did Pennsylvania by 6.7%, and also in Rhode Island by 2%. South Carolina had a very healthy shift toward the Republicans by 17.9%. South Dakota had the biggest shift toward the Republicans by an even 40%. And South Dakota, just like in North Dakota, in 2022, the Republican was not running against a Democrat there, but again, it's a single district. We still put up the opposition. Moving on to Tennessee, that had a 4.9% shift toward the Republicans. Republicans. Texas, not much change there, 0.8% toward the Republicans. Utah, 1.5 toward the Democrats. Vermont, 15.1 toward the Republicans. Virginia got 5.3 bluer. Washington got bluer by 7.4. West Virginia had a big red shift of 14.6. Wisconsin, even redder than that, by 16.9. And the last state is Wyoming. That shifted toward the Democrats by 1.3. And here's your national shift. That comes out to 3.8 away from the Democrats and toward the Republicans. So if you want to visualize this data, we'll take it all, apply it to a map like we usually do. Here it is. We've got the same basic shading, 10 or more points are the darkest colors. This time the very lightest colors are under 1 point shifts. So this time there's 4 levels of shading. We've got some tilt margins on here. Those are Texas, New Mexico, Hawaii, and Maryland. And keep in mind, this is just comparing the statewide popular vote in the House. Some districts in some of these states are not a Democrat against a Republican. Sometimes it's 2 Democrats or 2 Republicans. Sometimes there's no opposition or a third party or independent candidate. I'm just taking the data I have. You can look more into each state if you want to see which ones are the most skewed. I know Wisconsin comes to mind, as well as Alabama. California and Washington use the top 2 primary system, but there's plenty of other examples out there. It's more noticeable in states with less districts. So what are the takeaways from these shifts? Well, there's more red shifts on here than blue. Republicans did win the popular vote in 2022. They did not in 2012, even though they won more seats. So it would be expected to see more red on this map. And we do see a lot more red, but there's certainly a lot of blue mixed in. There's red states that did shift toward the Democrats, like Wyoming or Louisiana, and there's some blue states that did shift toward the Republicans, like Oregon, Illinois, and New York. And we've got a state like Georgia that used to be a lot redder. That is dark blue on this map. Democrats made significant gains there over the past decade. Arizona has also trended toward the Democrats, but in this House shift, it actually moved toward the right from 2012. So that might be a little bit counterintuitive. Republicans had a nice midterm in New York and Florida. Those states are dark red. The Midwest is pretty much completely red. Nebraska's first shifted hard toward the Democrats. Nebraska's second, that is the bluer district. That shifted slightly toward the GOP. Maine at large and the 1st and 2nd district, that shifted toward the Republicans. There's a lot of different things you could take a look at on here. Alaska was the biggest mover for the Democrats, but they also have some other places, Colorado and Kansas. This is a decent shift for the Republicans. 2012 was a presidential year that they did not win. 2022 was a regular midterm that they did win the popular vote in. So there's a lot going on here. You'd have to go back to 2012 to take a look at some of the anomalies in some of these states. So I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions. But these are the shifts from 2012 to 2022 in the U.S. House. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about any of the shifts in any of these states? Let me know your thoughts down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.